Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Play Neutopia for the TurboGrafx 16-bit. Last time we finished up level 3, and today we're heading into level 4 with not all of our life intact, but that's okay because we have 2 potions on hand. Woo! So like the potion of life in Zelda 1, which I didn't really bring mention to for whatever reason, you can indeed stack potions. You can buy 2 of the same kind of potion, and it stacks. You wouldn't notice, because the potions look very similar when you go and purchase them in the shop. And for whatever reason, the game doesn't even tell you about this. Like, I've looked, across the overworld and asked NPCs about it, and, like, they don't even tell you about this. As much as I've praised Neutopia for having really good, helpful NPCs that don't really deter from the gameplay and progression too much, I'm surprised they never really brought that up. And I remember it wasn't until my second or third playthrough of Neutopia where I figured that out. And I was like, wait, why were they selling 2 of the same kinds of potion in the shop? And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling some Neutopia today, and sometimes, even though this game might objectively be a bit on the average side of things, sometimes it really just boils down to how much you enjoy a game in its entirety. Sometimes the game doesn't even necessarily need to be 100% good for you to like. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but I've always had my fair share of, guilty pleasure games. I like games like Metroid 2, um, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, despite being a game that technically hasn't aged all too well. I like games like Mega Man 1 because it's weird and funky as shit. I like Super Mario Land 1 a lot on the Game Boy. I've done a playthrough of that. It's I don't know. Sometimes some of the tastes that appeal to me as a gamer aren't always going to be the things that vibe off of everybody else's interests. And Neutopia, despite being a relatively average game on the surface, and objectively speaking, it probably is. Neutopia has a lot of weird quirks and things that I like. And that's why I wanted to share this game with you guys, because this game is so weird, and I've been meaning to play very obscure, weird games on the channel for a while. I've always, through my time of Let's Playing, even though I've been very off and on about it, despite, wanting to share my passion with why I love video game franchises such as Mega Man and Metroid especially, because I don't feel like enough people Let's Play Metroid for whatever reason. I've always wanted to go into the thick of it and try weird, interesting things, and Neutopia was definitely the highlight of said weird things. And I plan to do more playthroughs like this in the future. It may not garner the best kind of views for certain, but at the end of the day, this is my channel, and I do what I want. And if I'm not having fun doing the things that I like doing, then what am I making YouTube videos for, I just had to check. I had to check and see if there was anything behind that wall. And on the topic of that, speaking of searching for things within the walls, I am definitely a little bit lower on life than I'd like. And this dungeon definitely seems to be a bit more on the complex end of things compared to the last few dungeons. There definitely seems to be a bit more alternating pathways we need to take, as opposed to the last 2 dungeons we went through, where you only really needed to take 2, with some small diverging pathways in between. So unfortunately for us, despite the fact that we do get a thing like a big key or what have you, it doesn't necessarily tell us where the boss is, and that would actually be kind of helpful right about now, because I'd like to make sure I'm not wasting my time going within the wrong direction. Boy. But, I guess you take some and lose some, I suppose. The big key is a pretty awesome idea that Zelda didn't even get to do first, but at the same end of the spectrum, you don't really have things like the compass that direct you where the boss door actually is. But luckily for us, now we know where said boss door is, and I need to stop taking unnecessary damage. Blah! I wonder if this game is kind of like Zelda in the sense that, like, dependent on what enemies you beat up, they have their own, like, line of pickups that you get. Like, I know, for example, like, if you were to beat up an Octorok or a Tektite or whatever, they have their own different line of drops and RNG, as opposed to, like, just having the same consistent kind of drops. And I wonder if Neutopia follows that line of logic as well. That'd be pretty interesting if it did. But unfortunately for us, this looks like a dead end, and I'm not gonna waste any time going all the way back. Let's use my wings and redo most of that dungeon over again. Oy. God, these enemies hurt, man. Like, I'm already taking over a bar of, like, damage. That's probably why they start you off with 5 bars of life as opposed to, like, 3. Because they knew, like, the damage was going to be pretty brutal in the late game. Well, not late game. I'd say we're probably in the mid-game right about now. Something along those lines. Because there's really not much left after you've finished, like, the 8 crypts. Or labyrinths or what have you. So, like, I don't know. I'm hoping for a cherry drop. Please. Quit moving all around. Okay, so we know not to take that other path. And again, my biggest complaint about the dungeon design in this game is the fact that for whatever reason, when you leave a dungeon and you come back, the rooms that you've been to previously are all kind of like wiped from existence in the sense that like the map doesn't highlight those rooms anymore, and I fucking hate that. I hate it so much. I don't know why it does that. Because not even Zelda 1 did that, to my knowledge. Like, it kind of remembered what rooms you were in, and it kept, you know, it kept those in check, you know? God. These guys are a little bit too small for my liking. And they move around a lot too. Oh my god. Okay. So it looks like we might get some goodies out of this area here. Let's check it out. Getting some boom bombs, but no cherries. Be awful nice to have right about now. Did I get another wing? No. You know, I never really thought like the block pushing really added much of anything to like the early Zelda games. Like pushing a random like block to open a door. Like I never really found it much of an engaging puzzle in the first place. Like yeah, for the first few times you can be like, I wonder what's going on here, but then it just gets to a point where it just seems really, like, obnoxious. Oh wow, my shield doesn't even work against those fireballs, shit. Alright. 4 dungeons in, and we've already ran into our second armor. This game really likes its armor, because it definitely prioritizes that first over everything else. Like, we didn't even have our first default armor for long, either. I would have, like, done it the other way around. Like, I would have, like, given the player, like, a shield first. Or maybe even put the fire wand in the first dungeon, because it's so essential for your toolkit that I don't really see the player not having it on hand, unless they have to light up a room with the moonbeam moss. Or use the bell, you know, towards the end of the game. But other than that, it's like, I would have, like, progressively made it to where the armor took less priority, then probably do a sword upgrade and then do the armor, you know? Because the armor is definitely, like, the biggest thing I feel like, it's the main thing I feel like is, like, the the biggest priority in keeping the game's like challenge intact, because as I've noted before, like you take a shit ton of damage in this game once you hit the second overworld, and like the armor plays a big factor into that. And you know, when you put the armor in like later dungeons, it definitely incentivizes that you play a lot more careful, like, as opposed to just getting the armor upgrade a little too early on and negating some of that challenge, you know? And I'm not saying that Neutopia isn't a challenging game by any means. Quite the opposite, actually, especially once we hit the third overworld, because level 6 is when things start getting a little bit ridiculous, if I had to be honest. Level 6 is when things start heating up, and you'll probably break your controller a few times. I know I might. Okay, so the boss key is probably behind that door, more than likely. I'm probably going to have to end up using a potion before I head out and head over to the boss, unfortunately. Because, again, cherry drops are a lot rarer than they have any right to be. And I don't know the specific reasoning as to why the RNG for them is just that bad. Okay, so there's our boss key. Definitely helps to have the crystal ball on hand, otherwise we wouldn't have known that there was a door behind here, or a room behind here rather, that led to the boss key. I like how this room is like laid out in such a way where it looks like it could be a complex like rainbow drop puzzle, but then you realize, oh wait, I just need to take the left path and just circle my way around the room. And then it just begs the question, what did they place enemies on here for? Again, it's that old relic of like NES era like level design where like you have all of these rooms set up in such a weird way, but there's not really any rhyme or purpose as to why they're set up that way, you know, other than like having the rooms arranged in such a way where they lead one way or another, but the rooms themselves don't really have a whole lot in them that makes a whole lot of sense progression-wise. And I definitely think this is one of the few things Neutopia 2 does better over the original. Not everything, though. Like, I think, like, it's still kind of stuck in that NES era of, like, level design philosophy, somewhat. But I definitely feel like the progression is a little bit more involved and complex over the intricacies of Neutopia 1, that's for certain. Oh, good. Damn it. I was gonna say, thank God. I got me some wings. Level 4 be giving me wings. That was a lame Red Bull joke, in case you didn't know. Okay, I don't remember this guy being too difficult. Oh yeah, actually, no, this is not hard at all. What the heck? Oh my god, what the hell? That poor centipede. Oh my god, I got lucky. Normally I don't cheese it that hard either. But I just happened to have, like, everything set up perfectly in that fight. Holy shit. Okay, so I guess it wasn't really a life upgrade in that overworld, huh? Otherwise the NPCs would have told me about it. And trust me, they would have told me about it. Okay. Awesome. Alright, so welcome to the third overworld, the water-based overworld. In case you couldn't already tell by now, we are definitely following the intricacies of the basic 4 elements. for atmosphere. I'm not against it. I'm not against doing the basic water, fire, wind, and earth, like, elemental areas or whatever. And it just depends on, like, the imagination that goes into them. That's why I can't really fault Metroid Prime for going that route for the most part, because they have, the areas themselves have their own distinct atmospheres, such as, like, having crumbling Chozo ruins and Phendrana Drifts, for example. Then I'm like, yeah, I can vibe off of this, you know? This is something I would find in Metroid Prime and not anything else. Here, on the other hand, it varies. Like, I think the first two overworlds don't really offer much imagination outside of what you'd expect out of a fire or earth-based overworld. But here, I was expecting it to be kind of like this water paradise-looking area, but instead we're in an island of different water-based ruins and shit, and it definitely goes to show that, yeah, even a game like this can have a little imagination that goes a long ways. And I guess this kind of offers the opportunity for me to talk about the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack is okay. It's not a very popular soundtrack by any stretch of the imagination. I even think, like, the subterranean, the Earth overworlds are kind of generic. What this game definitely, I feel like, favors in is the boss music. I really like the boss music a lot, especially the final boss. And I like the water and the sky overworld themes, but that's really about it. I especially find that the dungeon theme gets really grating and annoying after a while, and it's very evident that they tried to copy the beats and the feel of the Zelda 1 dungeons, but it doesn't really offer a distinct, memorable melody like the Zelda 1 dungeons do. Like, you can definitely hum the dungeon themes of Zelda 1, and, like, they're repetitive, and they repeat for all of the dungeons, yeah, but they had this distinct melody that not only provides its own atmosphere, but it's very catchy as well. It seems like it captures the atmosphere, but it doesn't really capture the melody at all, and it just comes off as really grating and boring, if I had to be honest. Oh, okay. So there are two items we need to find. We need to find the steel shield, and we need to find a optional upgrade. It's not something that's required by any means, but it's going to make the gameplay flow a lot better, and you'll see what I mean once we get said upgrade. I'm hoping we could get a new sword upgrade eventually, because this sword is definitely not faring too well against some of these monsters. 400 gold, no thanks. I'm kind of glad I didn't have to waste a potion on that boss. I thought I was for a second, and then I remembered, oh, it's this guy. Oh, it's this guy. You know what I mean? Alright, so this is the area of where the shield should be, I believe. We just gotta play it smart and use our ranger bow drop to make our way through these islands. See, like, the game can be smart sometimes, you know? Like, when we're in the overworld, it's actually got stuff like this where you kind of have to think about... Oh, wait, no. No, I don't want to do that. But yeah, like, the game can be imaginative sometimes. You have this area that's set up in such a way where you have to think about the terrain and think about, like, where you need to use your ranger bow drop to progress. And I like things like this. Like, if you wanted to differentiate yourself from Zelda and evolve the gameplay even further, have more sections like this, you know? I love puzzles like this. I love mazes where you have to kind of think outside the box a little bit and pay extra special attention to the terrain, because otherwise you're going to get lost and not everything's going to be as clear as daylight, such as like, oh, lol, I gotta push a block, lol, I gotta use the moonbeam moss to light up a room, herp derp derp der. That is one bulky enemy, Jesus Christ. Alright, so that should be our shield. I think this might actually be the last shield upgrade, and I could be wrong about that, because I feel like even though there are like four sword and armor upgrades, I think it's really only 3 for the shield. I could be wrong. Yeah, let me think about that for a second. Like, okay, so we haven't found another sword upgrade yet. No, I think there's one more shield upgrade. Yeah, there's definitely one more shield upgrade. Alright, buddy. I'm gonna need you to stop being annoying for a second. And hold still. Oh, okay. I haven't checked this room out yet. Let's see what's in here. Oh, okay, that's kind of helpful. So, one thing that's kind of annoying about the third overworld and onwards is that, like, I kind of mentioned that, like, there are going to be areas and doors that look like that on the far right, but, like, they don't actually lead into anything, and this is where having a lot of bombs is going to come into handy here, because you know, I was complimenting the game for at least creating highlights for where you need to use bombs, but then they're just like, nope, 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 we're gonna be Zelda 1 again, and start being cryptic all of a sudden. Which, granted, it's not nearly as cryptic, but it does kind of get on my nerves when I have to waste unnecessary bombs. You know? Alright, I already got the shield, thank you very much. And there's just one more upgrade I need to find. Though I think there's probably a life upgrade around here too. I could be mistaken. What's up here? Yeah, and you know, unlike the other overworlds where like you could say like, oh, level 1 is on the west end and level 2 is on the east end, and yeah, like sure, the subterranean overworld made things a little bit less obvious in how you needed to progress east and west to find things. This one is definitely when the dungeons start appearing in less conventional locations and you really need to scavenge about this overworld to find things. That's for certain. This is when you're gonna have to memorize the overworld layout much more substantially. Oh shoot, thanks! I definitely needed that. Watch me lose all of it. Oh, Jesus. I did not like where he launched that fireball. I'm hoping I can find, you know, one of those healer ladies here soon, because I could definitely use a... Okay, the first crypt is to the south of here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, wait a second. What's this? This looks important. Why are you more aggressive than your other buddy? That was weird. Oh. Shoot. Oh yeah, that's right. We have to come here for a second because one of the dungeons actually doesn't open up until we check out this area. So let's do that real quick. So this dungeon actually, I know this is technically part of level 6 and not level 5, but I figured I might as well do this anyway. This one introduces arguably the most annoying fucking enemy in the game, and this is why level 6 and onwards starts getting really fucking annoying. I hate these wizards. And you don't even have a shield for a good hot minute that actually does anything about their projectile, unlike Zelda 1, where you could get the magic shield and nullify the issue altogether. Okay, so yeah, you need to come here before you start level 6. But yeah, in case you couldn't tell, like, the wizard has this distinct issue of basically firing the projectile whenever he wants, and it hurts like hell, and you cannot deflect it, and you can't even use your rod against it. It's so aggravating. I can't even really properly enunciate how much frustration that wizard gives me, and we're gonna be finding a lot of them in the later dungeons, and finding that last shield upgrade is going to be a godsend in regards to fighting those enemies, because holy shit, they're easily the worst part of the late game for sure. Like you ever have that one enemy you hate so much that it messes up the experience a little bit for you? That's basically what that enemy is in a nutshell. Goddamn. So he did say the first crypt is to the south, so that's going to be quite helpful. At least we have a lot of gold, though. It's going to make buying potions here less of a hassle, that's for certain. Oh, I already know about that. Thank you very much. So we're going to have to... Okay, here we are. Awesome. So this should be where level 5 is. I wonder if we can bomb that too. I'm not too worried about bombs because like the bomb drops in this game are generous enough to where they never come off as a huge hassle, I feel like. Though, if the need arises, we do have bomb drops that we can come across in the overworld that'll help much substantially in the long run. Ow. Was it, actually, wait a second, was it that dungeon that opens up level 6 or 5? You know, I could actually be wrong, but whatever. The point is, it opens up one of the dungeons, and that's all you need to know. Can't progress, you can't progress through the game without it, and that's really all that matters, isn't it? Okay, wow, I got lucky with that cherry drop there. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Man, I thought he was a save point. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well then, I guess I'm gonna have to go over here and see if I can find a save point. Oh, I already know what this does. I think it's over here? Question mark? Okay, yeah, here we are. Awesome, 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 awesome. Alright, so with that being said, that'll be it for this part. Next time we're gonna journey off into level 5 and see if it doesn't piss us off in the long run. So see you guys then.